Welcome to the SEC Jerks. I'm Jacob Dottie, and with me as always is my arch nemesis, Tink Edwards.
We
Tink,
hate
how you
each
doing,
other.
man?
I hate you. Hey.
Yeah. Because we have to talk about week 2 of college football action. And I remember last week we were a little down on the schedule. We thought, oh, these games don't look so good. But there's actually some entertainment in some of these, week schedule of games. I felt were a bit surprising, maybe some eyebrow-raising results. Overall, did you get the chance to catch many of these games?
I caught a lot of the highlights, and I caught the Auburn game 100% up close and personal, of course. And I watched the Bama game and most of the Arkansas game. So yeah, I think I caught the good bits mostly.
All right, well, you definitely caught the best one. I think that Arkansas game was pretty entertaining, at least in the, near the end of it.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess since I just talked about it, do you want to do the best first and talk about Arkansas TCU?
Yeah, let's do that first. Let me pull it up here on my old other computer.
Sure. So for those of you out of the loop, Arkansas was playing at TCU, who was ranked number 15. Game winds up going to overtime, and the Razorbacks wind up being victorious by a 41-38 victory. And that score's a little misleading. You might think like, oh, this is some kind of shootout or something. Not really. So I watched most of this game, and for the most part of it, Arkansas was in control for its first 3 quarters. It was like 20-3 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then TCU retook the lead with 3 consecutive touchdown drives, and you thought, oh no, Bielema is going to lose another one of these games in the fourth quarter. But that's not quite what happened, Tink, right?
Yeah, it's not what happened at all. Last week we talked about the snowball effect over the course of a season for Arkansas, and this is the first time in Bielema's tenure that I can think of in which he's sort of gotten things going against good opponents early in the season. And yeah, they found a way to pull out the old win there. It was nice.
Yeah, so we've seen this before, and especially early season for Arkansas. They really would sort of falter in the big moments in these early season games. But they actually are able to, recuperate after giving up 3 straight touchdown drives. They're down 28-20, and they find a way to punch in the end zone with about a minute left, which is a lot of time. They end up having this sweet reverse pass for the 2-point conversion to tie things up.
Mm-hmm.
And then they kick it off to TCU's electric playmaker, Turpin, who runs it back into field goal range, basically. And you thought, oh, my God, they're going to just blow it.
It's over, yes.
Yeah. But they end up having like a 6'10" lumberjack-looking dude block the field goal to
with an
go to
axe.
overtime.
I don't know why they let him have it. That's
blocked
weird.
it with an axe. I could have sworn that was against NCAA regulations.
Not for this
But
game.
that takes the overtime where the Razorbacks are ultimately victorious because they could score a touchdown, not just a field goal. So I think that's a really big win for Arkansas, and I don't know if it's because TCU is not as good as we might have thought, or if Arkansas is just better. I think Arkansas is probably a decent team, though, and if you're in the West, that's definitely not an easy out. So kudos to the Razorbacks, man.
Yeah, I'm definitely not looking forward to playing them in the future.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they can really build on this. Austin Allen looked pretty good. I don't think he was great, but yeah, they have a pretty decent little team that they can probably eke out double digit wins when you toss in the bowl game.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, like the only at this point sure loss that you feel like they probably aren't going to win is like the Alabama game. But yeah, crazy stuff can happen in that too. So
even the past 2 or 3 years, they've given Alabama a full game, up until the end. So
yeah, so I guess we'll find out. So yeah, that's a good result for Arkansas.
Yep.
I'm going to blast through some scores that we don't care about, so just to get them out of the way. Florida absolutely annihilated Kentucky, so Kentucky's bad season is even worse now. They're 0-2 and not look good. I don't know how much of that was Florida being decent or Kentucky being horrible and terrible, but Florida actually had good quarterback play in this game, which is something they've lacked the past couple years because of Will Muschamp. And so that's a good look for the Gators, especially considering that the other SEC East teams that we conceive of as leaders did not look so great. And you got anything for me on Kentucky, Florida?
Not really. I just know that Del Rio threw the ball, I think, 10 million times in the game, so that
Yeah,
probably helped some with his stats. But yeah, I mean, I don't really watch it. I just saw the highlights, and they obliterated Kentucky, and it was 30 straight years of Kentucky
that's
losses.
that's
So
kind of sting, man.
yeah,
30 straight years of losing to the same team. Um, I don't know how UK. I guess they survive through the basketball season. That's how they like regenerate their power. These UK football fans.
sure. It's some
Okay.
hyperbolic, or what is it, hyperbaric or hyperbolic time chamber?
God, I can't remember from DBZ.
Yeah,
I think it
it's
was
one
a
of those
hyperbolic
hyperbolic.
time
Okay,
chamber.
that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Some other games. We had Jacksonville State at LSU. That doesn't seem like the most exciting, but considering how poor LSU's performance was last week, there was kind of some interest in this game, whether or not they'd look good or not. And they didn't at the beginning until they pulled Brandon Harris and threw in. God, I can't remember his name. Like Danny Etling. I don't remember. Is
Edling.
that the guy's name?
I think it's Edling. I think he's from Purdue or somewhere. He's a Purdue transfer.
The Purdue
And
transfer.
yeah,
That would have
so
been big.
he's going to steamroll through the SEC, no doubt.
Yeah. So we like LSU fans were pretty excited about him, taking control of things. But like if you look at the stats, they weren't actually that great. I think it's just in comparison to Brandon Harris, he looked good. So jury's still out on that. LSU ends up winning the game 34-13. So they won by a comfortable margin. And they will have their first SEC game coming up next week against Mississippi State. Speaking of Mississippi State, they took care of business against South Carolina, so that's a nice bounce back for them after losing to South Alabama, which is not a state, unlike South Carolina.
Yeah.
This game, Mississippi State was up like something like 24-0 at the half and was definitely in control. So they really put South Carolina away, and I imagine that was disheartening if you're a South Carolina fan to have such a poor performance in the first half.
Do you think that South Carolina is having any sort of buyer's remorse with Will Muschamp right now?
I don't know because I don't know who else they could have like gotten as their coach. I'm sure some fans are because I mean, there's always the fan base that's like, we should hire whoever the top coach, candidate that year is, no matter what team you were on. They think they can get him. But after watching, I mean, there's a difference between like having a mediocre coach with an exciting game style, like style of play for your team, a lot of points or some kind of spread offense. And then you have like Will Muschamp, who seems like a mediocre like head coach with a very boring and not fun to watch style of football, where it's all on defense and your offense likes to accumulate penalties and not score a lot of points.
Right.
So it's not going to be the most exciting times for South Carolina right now, especially considering this condition Spurrier left the program in. I think they were kind of bare on talent this year. So
yeah, he was sort of coasting by the past two or 3 years there.
I think he was more interested in the golf rounds than keeping the cupboard stocked. So
speaking of more interested, well,
sure.
I was gonna go to a better game, but then I looked at my list here, and it's kind of slim pickings. We had Texas A&M whipped up on Prairie View. We really don't have to talk about that.
I didn't even write that one down.
Yeah, their offense looks good. We can look at Vanderbilt and Middle Tennessee. Vanderbilt put up a lot of points. Didn't see that coming really, especially against.
So this was actually, this game was sort of a surprise to me. I thought Middle Tennessee State would actually win this game, but Vanderbilt ended up putting up a lot more points than I thought they were capable of, and I think that's a nice win for them, especially after losing to South Carolina. I don't know if that'll transition well to like their SEC schedule, but that's got to be at least some confidence built there for their offense.
Maybe they'll be bowl eligible at the end of the year, but I'm not betting on it. But it'd be nice for them if they did.
I think that's still the goal right now, and it looks like something that is not like infeasible, to occur. So, yeah.
Who else do we have? We have, I guess Missouri sort of, had like a bounce back week against Eastern Michigan. They scored a lot of points, so that kind of makes next week's game against Georgia a little more interesting, I think.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, it's pretty much a veritable offensive explosion for Missouri. 61 points. That's a lot more than they've scored in a while. They haven't been that great in offense the past few years. Then again, it was against like the most bland and uninteresting and worst of the directional Michigan schools in Eastern Michigan. So
Right.
not
But
sure what to take away from that. They're usually not very good.
I don't think they're very good, but at the very least, I think they're on par with Nichols. And
Yeah.
Georgia, we can talk about that really quick. Georgia had a very hard time putting Nichols away, and they only ended up winning by 26-24, 2-point margin against the team that they should have beaten soundly
Yes.
4+ touchdowns.
So yeah, I think the spread in this game was something close to 40 points, and I mean the game had 4 quarters in it, man. But I thought it was all Nichols.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Wooden Nichols. Don't take any. But
But
Georgia
no,
did.
seriously, Nichols. I watched some of this game, and it was just weird. Like Nichols played okay, but Georgia's was just like making the most stupid mistakes. Dumb turnovers, just bad play, and then they were fortunate actually to be in the lead. Like
Sure.
there was a fumble recovery for a touchdown that Georgia got that could have been called a forward pass. It was kind of on borderline, and they ended up getting the call and getting a touchdown out of it, and they needed that. They only ended up winning by 2 points to Nichols, who dropped the state. It's Nichols now,
Yeah.
and that's got to be concerning if you're a Georgia fan. Nick Chubb only had about 90 yards, 80 yards, something
Yeah,
like
it was
that.
not good. I think he had one long run that if you take away, he had 3 or maybe 3.5 yards a carry. So
I mean, this dude has got superb talent, and you're only putting up 80 yards against an FCS school, and it's not like they were well ahead and were resting him or something like that.
Right.
This was a game for 4 quarters. So yeah,
I mean,
that makes the next week's game at Missouri a bit more interesting in my mind.
It's possible that Georgia was looking ahead, but they were looking ahead to Missouri, so
Maybe.
I'm not sure that's a game that you really get hyped for either. So, I
Hey
don't know,
man,
maybe
the
they'll.
SEC East runs through Columbia, Missouri, right?
That's true. Well,
It did for 2 years.
two out of the past 5 years, sure, yeah, they somehow won the East and got drilled by the West team. So
Yeah, that's kind of how it went.
I hope
So,
it happens again
yeah,
this year. That would be great.
I think they need to fire Mike Bobo again. I guess I don't know.
Where is he?
He's actually the coach for Colorado State.
Okay.
I don't know if you know that.
That's you know what? I hear that's a nice area. So
It is a nice area.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I have some collaborators at Colorado State, so
nice.
nice guys. All right. So I think we went through most of the chaff games here.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we technically have one more, but I'm very interested in it, and you attended this game.
Yes.
You were there. And that's Auburn and Arkansas State. So why don't you tell me about this game?
I think Auburn's offense kind of blew me away. I wasn't really expecting that kind of output after last week and after the entirety of last year, to be honest. So turns out Jeremy Johnson didn't really get. I mean, I feel bad for the kid, because he had so much placed upon him to be the next Cam or the next Nick Marshall, and he couldn't really, I guess, reach that level. And I think now he's sort of having a bit of a crisis. But I was very impressed with Sean White. I was impressed with Franklin. I was impressed with Auburn's receivers found a way to get open, and actually there were a few times when the offense started to go quickly. You know what I mean? And I haven't seen that in a while either. So that on top of a pretty solid defense, they only gave up a couple of big plays, but other than that, it was a great showing by Auburn as a whole.
Yeah, so I watched this game as well. Like you said, the only concern on defense was a couple big plays. I think we had that same problem with Clemson. But overall, I mean, this was a nice bounce back from that sort of offensive debacle from week 1. Sean White looked great. I think leaving him in the game, he grew more comfortable as it went on. You can tell he just was comfortable playing the position, and he didn't make dumb mistakes. I mean, he found a way to extend some plays. I mean, that one play where he does the little flip pass to Kerryon Johnson when he's going down, and Kerryon somehow turned that into a touchdown. That was a nice highlight right there. But
it was electrifying after years of not having electrifying plays.
Yeah,
well,
one
year of not having it.
Sean White, playing smart, which is something we sorely needed at the quarterback position. And it's very encouraging to see just these big plays in general because it's something we've lacked. I mean, Kyle Davis had a great catch. A lot of just big yardage plays. I mean, Auburn put up 700 yards of offense in this game, so that's a really nice sign for the development of the offense for the rest of the year. And we'll see it against a much better defense, I think, out of Texas A&M next week. So it's sort of a litmus test for both those teams, and I think that'll tell us a lot next week.
I think so too, and I think it's I guess with the talent level that Auburn has, it's sort of puts the fear, back into the rest of the SEC West that was lacking previously. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely more interested in the Iron Bowl. Like if the offense keeps up the same kind of oomph that it has, and keeps I guess producing big plays, big yards, then yeah, I think it could be a pretty good year for Auburn. I still don't think that they have SEC title caliber talent. I mean they have the talent, but I think they're very thin at running back. And Sean White, he has a history of injuries, so hopefully he stays healthy. And I mean, I guess the sky's the limit if everything goes their way, but I still think they're a year away from being a major SEC West contender.
Yeah, so there's still more to prove, I think, at this point. But
Sure.
encouraging to see for sure. Okay, so I don't think we have that many games left. I think we have Alabama and Tennessee.
Yeah, we can kind of zoom through Alabama.
So Alabama played Western Kentucky, and man, if you listen to Nick Saban, it was clear that they lost this game. He was embarrassed with their effort. Alabama actually won though, 38-10, which doesn't sound so bad against Western Kentucky, who's actually like a decent team. But there were a lot of mistakes on offense. I think that's what Nick is harping on. He's just sort of a perfectionist, so he always finds something to be mad about. As an Alabama fan yourself, though, what was your read on the game? Feel good, bad, indifferent?
Bad, because
okay, sure.
Last week we had a similar sort of thing go on with the USC game, where the score and the stats made the game look much more of a blowout than it really was. I think the same thing happened this week on offense. Like I watched the game, and all of the big plays came on breakdowns in the other team's secondary. Just like mental errors and whatnot. And then I think we just sort of, I guess, kind of wore them down over the course of the game, which is not going to work against SEC East or West teams. It's just something that's going to plague Alabama for the rest of the year if they don't get their offensive woes together. But it's just very, very sloppy. Like one of the sloppiest games I remember seeing in the Nick Saban era, at least after 2007 when he got some decent talent there. But maybe there will be some improvement, especially at the quarterback position, which I think is very green, and I'm not too thrilled with the way that either of the, I got rotating quarterbacks. Even though I think Hurts has sort of locked it up as the starter. I don't think he or
I think so.
Blake Barnett are really lighting it up as they should. Being such highly recruited. I mean, I understand that they're both young, but man, I just expected more out of a Nick Saban quarterback.
Yeah, so I think Hurts definitely has shown the most offensive promise. He's made some bad decisions at times, but I think overall Alabama's offense has looked far more explosive with him at the helm. I think that's the way they're going to go forward. But yeah, you're right. They can't make these kind of mistakes when they travel to Oxford and take on their kryptonite, the Ole Miss Rebels.
Exactly. So. Hugh Freeze has a way of getting into Nick Saban's head, I think. And
I guess. But we'll talk about that in a short bit.
Sure.
First, though, we have to wrap up from our Week 2 review here with the Battle at Bristol, the largest crowd for a football game ever. And I assume they were mostly drunk and maybe a crossover with a lot of NASCAR fans.
I guess.
For those of you unfamiliar, this took place at the Bristol Motor Speedway, and they sort of made a football field out of it. And I think the attendance was like 150,000 people, something crazy like that. I didn't watch a lot of this game, but Virginia Tech jumped out to like a 14-0 lead after Tennessee came out looking flat and bad once again, which is kind of disappointing to see for them.
Mm-hmm.
But luckily for Tennessee, Virginia Tech continued to fumble the ball at an unprecedented rate. I think they had like 5 fumbles lost in this game. And that sort of got Tennessee back into it, and the Tennessee running game was able to get established. They wind up sort of running away at the end of this game. 45-24 is the final for Tennessee. But it's another one of those games where, like, yeah, they won, but, the fans are going to find a lot of things to be upset with. Namely, Josh Dobbs only had, like, about 90 yards passing. So there's plenty to be concerned about if you're a Tennessee fan, but, hey, you'll take the win, I guess.
Sure. I mean, I didn't watch much of it either. Just the highlights. Wasn't overly impressed with either team. I think Dobbs has a lot of work to do. I mean, if you look at, I guess, the percentage, he wasn't that bad. I think he was like over 50, which is I guess serviceable. But yeah, not a lot of yards. 3 touchdowns out of that somehow. I guess a lot of those were with his legs. Maybe I don't know.
I think he had some rushing touchdowns. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess they kind of they put the game on his legs and Hurd's legs, and that sort of was enough to, I guess, wear down a Vatek team that's not. I don't think they're anything special. They're not overly impressive. They have a first-year coach, so it's crazy that even after two games, we still don't really know what kind of a team we have with Tennessee. But I think they have all the pieces there to get something good, together and I guess contend for the East. But they have some pretty tough games coming up, and if they don't, get more, I guess consistency out of their offense, then I don't think they're going to be able to make a mark.
Yeah, I think they need to figure out their offensive issues, and I mean, they scored 45 points here, but a lot of that is like if Virginia Tech kept fumbling the ball, putting them in good position, and that's got to be demoralizing for PT's team anyway. Yeah. So I don't know how much to read into that, but like Josh Dobbs didn't. I mean, for a senior quarterback, he just doesn't look as good as he should, I think, and they got to try to fix that next week against Ohio before they get into the heart of their SEC schedule, I think.
Yeah, agreed. All
right.
I'm kind of tired of talking about last week, so we can
last week we're done with that, man. Dunzo.
It's Dunzo.
So we can't. Yeah, let's move on. Let's talk about this next week because I think there are a lot of nice games both in and out of conference, and I'm excited to talk about it. So, like I said before, Auburn and Texas A&M are meaning they're playing in Auburn. And I think this is a really big game for both teams. A lot of people have been scrutinizing the SEC West and some of these coaches that have been getting, sort of warm seats. And a lot of people thought before the season started that Kevin Sumlin from Texas A&M and Gus Malzahn at Auburn were facing some questions, and that this game would the loser of this game basically would face some ramped up pressure from the fan base. And I think that's still true. Maybe less so for Kevin Sumlin because they actually got 2 wins already to start the season. They're not doing so bad. But this is a really interesting game. Vegas has the line set right now to about -3.5 for the Auburn Tigers, so they're your favorite. And it is at Auburn, so
it's a wash basically.
Yeah, so I mean, home field advantage is worth about 3 points, so it's basically a pick if this were a neutral site. I'm trying to think about what I want to say about this game as far as leans go. It's hard for me to be impartial. I'm definitely going to lean Auburn. The reason is I was very encouraged by what I saw last week, and I haven't been watching much Texas A&M. I'm sure they're very encouraged by blowing out Prairie View A&M 69-0. But I think the key matchups here are Auburn's wide receivers against Texas A&M's secondary, because I feel like that's one place that their defense could be exploited. The question is, can Auburn actually take advantage of that? Because we haven't been able to in years past. And also the Auburn defense against Texas A&M's run game. I think if we can limit the run game and make Trevor Knight have to throw the ball, I've been kind of wary of Auburn secondary in the past, but I think they're pretty good this year. I think that's what the defense has to try to do. And I don't know. What do you think, man?
I tend to agree. I think having seen Auburn's defense play against Clemson and Arkansas State right now, I mean, I feel like overall the talent that Auburn's played against is greater than that the Texas A&M has played against. I don't really think that UCLA or Prairie View are going to end the year, in the top 25. Maybe UCLA will eke in there, but yeah, I think Auburn's defense is able to hold the run game. I think they'll probably force Trevor to throw the ball, and I think he's great when he has weapons around him, like I guess options. But as far as he'll if they make him just throw and just like make I guess put the game on I guess the receivers, I think Auburn's got a really good shot of winning this game, and so that's why I'm going to pick Auburn to win this game fairly big. I'm going to say Auburn 38, Texas A&M 28. I'll say Auburn wins the game by
All right.
10 points.
Not too bad. I would be happy with that. I'm also going to go Auburn here. A little bit closer. I think my pick's going to be 35-30. So I'm thinking like a touchdown to take the lead by 5 in the fourth quarter for Auburn. Let's make it really exciting and nerve-wracking for me.
Fair enough.
Sounds good. Okay. So let's talk about another game between some SEC West teams that will have implication for the coaches involved, and that is Mississippi State at LSU. Mississippi State, of course, lost to South Alabama and has beaten South Carolina so far this year. LSU lost to Wisconsin and looked far worse than we expected them to be, but they sort of bounced back a little bit by beating Jacksonville State. The line for this game right now is -14 for LSU, which seems fairly high given the quality of football LSU has been playing.
Mm-hmm.
Then again, I'm not very confident in Mississippi State, but that just seems like a lot of points to lay for an offense I have zero confidence in. If they can get Leonard Fournette going and really establish the run game, then I guess LSU has a good chance of setting pace in this game and maybe covering the spread. I'm not buying it. I'm going to go with LSU to win this game 21-10.
Okay, so they come close to beating that spread, but not quite, or I guess covering. Okay.
Yeah, not quite.
Man, this is tough because I don't like LSU this year, and I hated Mississippi State after week 1, but now they're starting to show signs of life, and I think that loss sort of kicked them into, oh man, we have to care about football now gear. So, yeah, I have to pick LSU because it's at home, and I'm assuming it's going to be, what time is the game? It's going to be a night game.
That's tough for Mississippi State for sure.
I think this is going to be a low scoring, but I think it'll be a close game. I think it'll be somewhere in the LSU 20, Mississippi State 17 type game, and it'll come down to that last, I guess possession, and there'll be a missed kick to take the game in overtime or something. But LSU wins it by 3, in my opinion.
I could see that as well. I guess as an observer, I'll probably be rooting for Mississippi State.
Sure. Why not?
I enjoy
that helps both of us in the long run.
Enjoy the agony of LSU fans. It's pretty entertaining. But I hesitate to say like an interesting. Well, I mean it's interesting in theory, but this game probably is going to be ugly. So if there's another game on at the same time, you might want to watch it. Just keep tab with the score. Not necessarily watch this game outright.
I mean,
all right.
You're not going to get anything pretty from LSU. I think.
No.
I think Leonard Fournette is a little bit banged up, and they're probably going to try to keep him as safe as possible. So.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's move on. So we have an outer conference matchup. East Carolina, my bad, is traveling to South Carolina, and the Gamecocks are actually a 7-point favorite despite their relatively poor performance last week against Mississippi State. East Carolina, however, last week won at North Carolina State. So I feel like these are kind of trending in opposite directions. And I was a bit surprised by this line. Does this seem a little high to you?
I guess. I don't like South Carolina at all this year.
No.
I'm tempted to call for the upset here, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think it'll be another LSU Mississippi State low scoring affair. Man, I really don't want to pick this game, but if I have to,
But you have to.
Yeah, I will say South Carolina. We'll give them 14, and we'll give East Carolina. I'll give them 9. They don't score any touchdowns. They just kick field goals all night long.
That sounds like an awful Will Bus Champ game.
I know, doesn't it? So don't watch it.
Right.
Let's
I'll tell you what,
man.
right. You can get the hell off my ship and walk off the plank because the Pirates are going to win this one, man.
Oh, you're calling it. Okay, finally.
I got ECU here. I got them 24-21. The Pirates coming away with a big win. They're going to sweep the Carolinas, man.
I'm glad one of us
They're
has
the best team out of both of them.
Okay. I mean,
Yep.
I can see that happening, and I'm not going to, debate it further because I really would just like to get off of this game.
That's fine. Moving on. All right, let's go. We got another not so great game to talk about, and then we'll talk about some good ones. Ohio Bobcats are traveling to your Tennessee Volunteers in Knoxville, Tennessee, and we got an opening line here. Tennessee's a favorite by 27.5 points over Ohio.
They're not covering.
That's a lot to lay.
It's not happening.
What do you think? Not happening? Yeah.
I mean, I like Ohio this year. They've been actually fairly decent over the past 4 or 5 seasons. I don't know, man. It's the week before. I assume Tennessee finally starts conference play. How did they manage 3 out of conference teams in a row to begin the season?
I'm not exactly sure how that happened.
And so now, yeah, they're playing a very capable team. Probably the game will probably be similar to the Virginia Tech game.
Yeah.
Ugly. Maybe Ohio's up for a little bit, and Tennessee will creep their way back to victory. But I don't think they're gonna hit them up for 20 plus points. So yeah, it'll probably be, let's say. Man, I didn't think I would pick first all these games. Sometimes I like to change my score around based on what you said.
You want me to go first?
No, it's totally fine. No, it's totally fine. It's totally fine.
Do it.
It's totally fine. It's totally fine.
Well, let's hear it then.
Okay. Tennessee will win 30 to. Mm-hmm. Oh, geez. I really want to put them in the 20s. No, I'll say 30-17. Tennessee.
All right. Well, if it's any consolation, Tink, I've already written my picks down, so it's not like I'm
you're gonna change
hearing yours and then adjusting them.
Well, I can't see your right arm. By the way, are we wearing the same shirt? Is that what's going on here today?
Similar color. I don't think it's the exact same shirt. No.
Okay, I didn't cut off my sleeves yet. Gotcha.
No. So right, the Bobcats, I think are actually okay this year. They beat Kansas at Kansas, which doesn't really mean a lot. Yeah. Kansas is always terrible. But I don't have a lot of confidence in Tennessee. 27.5 points is a lot to give up. And it's an election year, so I gotta go Ohio. I got Tennessee winning 35-20, so sort of a similar score.
There's not much of a point differential there.
So let's talk about an SEC East game that's coming up, and that would be Georgia at Mizzou. This game in the past few years has actually been kind of important because Missouri somehow has been like a perennial contender for the SEC East crown, even when it didn't make any sense that they should be. That just goes to show how down the SEC East has been at times, I guess. But I don't want to, malign Missouri too much. They actually have a pretty decent program.
They're great journalism programs.
Yeah, that's right. But based on last year and sort of how this year started, I didn't have a lot of confidence in Missouri. They lost at West Virginia. It's not the easiest game. He looks better against Eastern Michigan, which is, I mean, they're terrible. So I don't know how much to read into that either. But then again, I mean, how much terrible can Eastern Michigan be compared to Nichols, who Georgia looked absolutely terrible against? And do I think Missouri is better than Nichols? Probably. So the question is, well, why? Maybe I should just pick Missouri. I think Georgia's probably not as bad as last week's game showed, and they'll probably play better than that. But I really want to lean towards picking Missouri in this game, and I just realized I didn't write down this pick yet, so this puts me on the spot.
So I can pick, and then you can do yours accordingly.
Well, no, I'll go ahead and do mine first. So Georgia, I'll go ahead and tell you, is a 6.5-point favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, what am I gonna pick? And I think they're ultimately going to win this game, and I'll be mad about it because I feel like Georgia should lose. And they're gonna win something ugly, like, let's go 20-14. So I like Missouri to cover the spread, and I like Georgia to win.
Okay. I wish I could do that because I don't have any faith in Georgia.
Yeah.
Except I have no faith at all in Missouri, and I think Georgia is going to destroy them this week.
Fair enough.
It's got this like weird feeling. Like last week, Georgia purposefully played like garbage just to lure the rest of the SEC into a false sense of security because they have so much talent. How could they have played that badly?
Yeah.
So
the secret plans of Kirby Smart.
So what I am thinking is Georgia's going to win this game 49-20. I think they're going to just go in there and just run all over them because Nick Chubb's not going to go 2 weeks, without hitting the century mark. So I think he's going to come out hungry, and I think Georgia rolls in this one.
So I think Nick Chubb will get his. I think Georgia will also win, but I lack the confidence in their offense that you are showing by picking them to score 49 points.
I just finished a beer, so
nice.
I'm gaining confidence.
Good, you're gaining confidence. I like it because you're gonna need it. Because we have to pick New Mexico State at Kentucky. No, I'm just kidding. We're not picking that.
Thank
God.
God.
I think we're through most of the. Oh, okay. We got one more game before we get to the big SEC West showdown. That would be Vanderbilt at Georgia Tech. As you might know, I am also a Georgia Tech fan when it's convenient because I went there to graduate school. And they are a 6.5-point favorite in Atlanta. I don't know quite how to feel about this game because I can't read too much into what Tech has done this year. They won barely against Boston College in Ireland, so I don't know what that means. And then they beat Mercer at home, which doesn't mean anything.
I thought Mercer only had a basketball team. I didn't know they had.
But apparently not. Apparently they have an FCS team in football. So Vanderbilt looked a lot better than I thought they were last week. They actually were able to score some points. And that made me hesitate a little bit on picking Georgia Tech to cover this line. And I think Georgia Tech's going to win this game, but I don't like them to cover. I'm going to go with 27-21 Yellow Jackets.
Okay, I like that. That's actually pretty close to what I was thinking. So I'll just do you one better, I guess, and I'll give your Jackets a point and give them the 28, and I'll subtract one from Vandy and give them 20. So there we go, 28-20, Georgia Tech. I have no scientific basis for this pick. Just I don't really think Vanderbilt's great. I don't think Georgia Tech's great, but I think they're a little bit better than Vanderbilt. Why not?
We all know college football isn't about science, Tink. It's about guts, courage, and bringing your own guts and more guts. And as Dabo Swinney would say, it's about guts, I would say. What do you think? Yeah, I mean, does that sound right to you?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because it gave me a chance to throw the guts theme in here somewhere. So
oh, sweet.
It.
Yes, please play that. All right. Last game on the docket that I want to talk about in the SEC, and this one's for the Aggro Crag. It is Alabama at Mississippi, who has beaten Alabama 2 years in a row now. They're going for the hat trick, Tink, and I don't know. I'm thinking about picking it. What do you think about this game?
I think if Nick Saban loses 3 in a row to Ole Miss, he might as well pack his bags and get out because we're sick of him.
Yes,
in
I love it.
So no,
Hold that thought, though. I didn't give you a line. It's Bama by 11.
Okay. The past 2 years have been really strange games, both of them. 2 years ago, it was the year that we looked poised to win the game. And then Kenyon Drake, his leg had that horrible injury, and then after that, it's like the team's entire psyche just dropped, and they played down for the rest of the game and ended up losing. The next year, they came out looking pretty good, and they kept up with Ole Miss for a fair bit of the game. And actually, I think we're in the lead at certain points, but a couple of like fluke plays, like tipped passes that got bobbled around to 4 different guys, and they also I think the catch by Treadwell, the kind of a fluke catch and score is what really broke the game open there. And I think Alabama was too young on offense and inexperienced, and so they didn't know how to respond and rally, and so they dropped that game. This year, offense is once again looking a little bit shaky, and that scares the crap out of me, especially since Ole Miss lost that first game to Florida State, and they looked so good in the first half. I think they have everything. They have the personnel to really come out and dominate if we're not playing up to our standard. And the game is at Ole Miss, which also makes me nervous. It's their first big game since they've sort of souped up their stadium with the new sound system and whatnot. So man, this is I can't pick against Alabama for obvious reasons, but I will say this game is going to be super close, and it's going to be heart-wrenching for one of these teams. So hopefully it works out in my team's favor. I'll say Alabama wins this game. Oh man, 31-30. I'll say it's a 1-point game, and it's a squeaker, and there are going to be heart attacks, and there are going to be gunshots and all kinds of stuff across the state.
So I agree with what you said. If Ole Miss definitely has capability. If Alabama comes out flat, or if they are not prepared, Ole Miss can put the hurt on them on offense real quick. And so it's imperative that Bama has the scheme set up in place to sort of defend against what Ole Miss does best, the sort of pitch and catch game that looked so dominant in the first half of that Florida State game. But then there's the second half of that Florida State game, and that shakes a lot of confidence I might have in Ole Miss. And I mean, it took some weird stuff happening to win those last 2 games. I mean, maybe we got some black magic in Oxford to make it happen again, but I'm not really feeling it this year. And I've just got more confidence in Alabama at this point. So I am also going to go with Alabama, and I'm going to pick for 27-20. So a bit lower scoring and a bit more of a margin for Bama, but still a pretty close game overall.
Okay, so still a heart attack game. Got you.
Yeah, you're still going to be in rough shape, my friend.
Well,
but I'll be enjoying it.
It's going to be one of those deals where I I have to work for the second half of the Alabama game, so I'm not going to really get to see it. So it's going to
sweet. I'll send you messages that make it sound like it's like really, really tense and super close to make you really worry about it.
Oh yeah, no. I remember in 2005, I want to say our buddy Jordan, he was at home watching the Alabama game, and I was at the stadium watching the Auburn game because we were destroying Florida like 35-13 3 or something. So I was like, yeah, whatever, I'm gone. So I took off to go to the Auburn game, get into the stadium, and I get a text from him that was just, ha 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 ha, Tyrone Prothro broke his leg.
No, no.
And I was like, no way, you're just messing with me. And sure enough, it happened. So, yeah, do not do that, please.
All right, fair enough. Well, I think that's all I have on the slate for this week. So, any final comments?
Yeah, good luck to us.
observations?
We're both 5-3 in our picks, so it's pretty.
That's correct. We are 5-3 at this point, based on last week's picks. So maybe some chance for separation this week.
Yeah.
I do have a comment though. I think one of the games I'm most excited to watch this week is not in the conference, and that is Florida State at Louisville. And I'm going to watch the hell out of that.
Oh yeah,
And-
that's going to be a great game, and we'll get to see
I think
if
so too.
Louisville's super quarterback is legit when he finally goes up against a great team with a good defense.
It's going to be exciting to watch, I think, no doubt.
Do you,
All right.
Jacob, have
Yeah.
an SEC jerk of the week?
Oh, man. So I think I kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier, talking about Nick Saban. Yeah, your team just won 38-10, and you're just bitching and moaning about how awful everything was. And I think like you gotta lighten up sometimes, man. So I'm gonna go with Nick Saban as my jerk of the week, but I can't fault him too much because I think that's the reason Bama's so good in Alabama, and like he's such a good coach, is the fact that he's never satisfied with anything ever. So definitely a jerk, but I mean it's probably good for the program. So let's just go with it.
I like that. My SEC jerk of the week is Bristol Motor Speedway. I'm sure the experience was fun for people that didn't really have any kind of stake in the game or whatever, but you had to have like an old timey, like an old timey pirate, telescope to see anything that was happening. It's just, I'm sure it smelled like garbage. It smelled like beer and vomit and I guess rubber from tires and gas and stuff, and it seems like a great atmosphere, but a horrible football experience. And so I just didn't.
I kind of agree with that. I feel like your over/under for number of fights you were going to be involved in was like 1.5.
Yeah.
You're going to encounter a lot of drunk people, and you probably couldn't see the game at all. It was probably just the most crazy faraway seats.
Exactly, especially somebody like me. I can barely see you, and I'm right here. So
yeah, it looked cool on TV,
yeah.
but maybe being there, I don't know. Maybe it was fun. Maybe we should get a special guest on who went there and ask him what the hell happened.
Do you know anybody that went there?
No. But
Okay, if you're watching this and you went there, you lie to us and tell us that you went there, we'll freaking believe you.
I'll say I went and like, yeah, it was not fun. Met my friend Richie. It was great.
Oh, I was gonna say T-Bird. Surely
T-Bird.
Surely somebody named T-Bird was there.
T-Bone, who we call T-Bird.
T-Bone we call T-Bird.
Yeah. That's what he likes to be called.
Okay.
All right, Leah wants something here.
I have an SEC jerk of the week.
Okay, we got a jerk of the week.
Hey Leah, sit down so we can see you.
Sit down so I can see you.
Who is your
it's
SEC jerk of the week, Leah?
His name is Derek Dooley.
What did Derek Dooley do?
He showed up on my brother's photo, one of these photos my brother showed me, and he's still haunting that university to date. And I think I know how Josh Dobbs lost his eyebrows. Because Derek Dooley, after he left the University of Tennessee, was hiding in the walls, just like Will was in Stranger Things. And Josh saw him in the wall, and it knocked his eyebrows off.
Oh my God.
And so that's why Josh Dobbs doesn't play well, because he sees Derek Dooley in the wall every night before he goes to bed.
I don't know how to respond.
That makes complete sense.
I love it.
I do like the mental image of Josh Dobbs trying to go to sleep and like Derek Dooley's just like reaching his hands out of the wall.
I like the movie Frighteners, yeah. He's coming after
getting
him.
bored. All right.
Well,
I think that's all we got for this week, man. So
it's a great
enjoy
note
the
to end
games.
the show on.
Have fun working the Auburn game, I assume.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll be watching all the games for us in case you don't get to see it.
Thanks.
And I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about next week.
I hope so. And until then, See you later, you jerk.
Yeah. See you, man.